Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order the October 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Island Transit Board of Directors. Thank you to everybody who is joining us today online and in the room. First order is to do roll call. Craig Sear.
Here.
Melanie Bacon.
Here.
See you up there. Janet Sinclair.
Here.
James P. Merrow.
Present.
Danny Julie. Present. Jill Johnson. She's not with us today and excused. I am here. And Matt, we have a quorum.
Yeah, four.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda? Any changes?
I move we approve the agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda. Second.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Now is the time for public input and comment. This time is set aside for members of the public to speak to the board about subjects of concern or interest or items not already set aside for a public hearing. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Public comment may be ended or modified if the comments become disruptive or are not germane to business at hand. Input requiring lengthier comments is best submitted in writing. Do we have public comments?
Yes.
There you go, sir. Please tell us who you are.
Jim McNaughton.
Hey, Jim McNaughton.
I am an island transit operator from Camino. I am also a taxpayer on Camino Island, and I have voted for a few people on this board. And I appreciate the service that all of you provide. Appreciate the fact that all of you come forward to provide that service. Appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate Jill's enthusiasm. Jenny, I very much appreciate how you're able to take everything, reduce it to a few cognizant bullet points and make it very clear for you.
Join the meeting.
All that everyone does here. As a taxpayer, I do have some concerns. As an operator, I know that some of the software we have in our buses does not work as designed or planned, does not service in the manner it was sold to us as. I have voiced that to management repeatedly. And I'm told, you don't understand transit, it's just what we have to deal with. So if I don't understand transit, and it's just what we have to deal with, I do not support, as a taxpayer, millions of dollars being spent on more software. If the current software in our buses that we have is not working. If we don't get that dialed in, working appropriately, doing the job it was designed to do and supposed to be doing for us, I don't believe we should be adding to that if we can't properly support the additions by what. And would appreciate that attention be paid to those shortcomings before we move forward with any large purchases to augment it. As an operator, I have to say that as a work group, we were very excited and still are to see the changes that we've gone through. Thank you, Craig. Thank all of you, past and existing board members that were part of that. Thank you. As a driver, when I'm down at Everett Station, I have had people approach me to praise Melinda, praise Liz, share their optimism, share their, we miss them. You're good to have them. Future should be bright for you. And I share that optimism and am hopeful. As an employee, when it comes to negotiations, I was told not to take offense. It's just a business, it's just an interaction. Well, as a longtime business owner myself, I'm familiar with negotiations. I'm familiar with face-to-face. I'm familiar with trying to get to where we both want to be in a positive way moving forward. And I hope we can do that. To date, I'm frustrated, very frustrated with the way it's going. And I don't believe that it's my frustrations are part of our management here. I think it's got more to do with some oversight. That would be, our work group went from being optimistic to being frustrated now. We had a contract that's gonna end. And I know there's one party that would be content with that going on for the next year and negotiations to continue, but that's not where the work group was at. And as a negotiator, as part of the negotiation team, excuse me, I know we did our work. We did our work and we prepared a proposal and posted. And it just feels to me that management has been slow in the process, getting back to us. And again, I don't believe it's management's intent for that to be happening. I believe there's some force in there that's making the process a little different than I anticipated it would be. When it comes to investment or tax dollars, sales tax revenue, I remember Island Transit when it first started. I remember the first operator. A lot of our operators are members of the community. Most of them are. We're involved in our community. Our kids grow up. I watch kids grow up. I watched many great things happen in our community. That original bus driver, her family has made an impact not only in our community, but in the world with employment and sharing their gifts. And that's just a small impact. We as individuals in the community work for each other, work to support each other, work to support our riders, and would appreciate any investments, cash outlays, build our mission statement, and are an investment in our community, whether that's in our operators, whether it's in services that improve services and outreach to our riders, that improve ridership, more access and mobility. Basically, is build on our mission statement and invest in the community through investing in our operators. And a recent job posting showed that if you apply for facilities, you get a significant. It's really not an incentive to become an operator when you see those two postings. You get a significant wage increase by being a facilities member, and you get a full-time job. We have people on Camino that are part-time workers, not because they want to be part-time. They're happy to have a job, but it's been a long time. And the only way they're going to see full-time is if one of us senior operators drop. So when it comes to recruitment, and recruitment of good quality people, confident moving forward, you guys got it figured out. But that's in the community. I appreciate it very much. Thanks for the job you're doing.
Thank you, Jen. Other public comment in the room?
I would like to make a comment.
Good morning.
Thank you, excuse me. Good morning. Thank you for letting me in. I'm a PM operator, so these mornings are a little early for me. So I'm Susan Leon. I am a lucky resident of Langley. I am an Island County resident, and to follow this thing, thank you, Jim. I'm a tax-paying member of our community of Island County. And to think about how can I make an impact on board members who we respect, we appreciate. You're tasked with a big responsibility, yet it seems that you put a lot of energy into devaluing my team members and the people who I value. I've worked for Island Transit for 7 years. I've been an operator for 6 years and 10 months of that time. And Island Transit and my fellow operators are my community. And I am so proud to be part of that. I'm also proud to be an executive board member of the Amalgamated Transit Union. And one thing I want to say to you is we're not your enemy, we're your partner. It's not your job, board members, to figure out how to fight us. It's your job to figure out how to partner with us. Because that's what we want. We want to partner with you. Because we're striving for the excellence of Island Transit. We're striving for the excellence of our operators and our dispatchers and everybody here who we work for and work with. And we can only do that if you understand that. If you take your perspective of devaluing us, hiring an attorney, spending my tax money. I do all my shopping that I can in Island County because I want to support my community. I don't agree with that money going towards lawyers who then, ironically, are tasked with finding a way to devalue me in the role that I depend on to support my lifestyle. I'm committed to the community. As Jim said, oh my God, the history is rich. And I want to be part of that now and into the future. For all of my team members who are not here, I'm going to quickly introduce you to them, okay? All right, we're your community members. We want you to invest in us. You invest in us and you're going to get the highest return on your dollars, okay? Okay, here we are. Donna, Paul, Mike, John, Mike, Bob, Ron, Ken, Elizabeth, James, Jacob, Mike, Peter, Jason, Mark, William, James, Christopher, Devin, George, Brandon, Patty, Carla, Trainer, Susan, Tristan over here, thank you. Jerome, Tandy, Charles, Scott, Gail, Audi, Mike, Nicasso, Louie, Boy, Tammy, John, Alex, Christopher, Sam, Ken, Bobby, JW, Eric, Lisa. We have a Ray and a Randall who we hope are going to be part of our community. They're doing awesome. Tafa, Tim, David, Dahlia, Brandon, Susan. Yes, there's another Susan. We are your community. We are your Island transit operators. We drive, we are not drivers. We are skilled professionals. And we are Island transit operators. And we are dispatchers. And we are committed to moving this agency forward to excellence. And what I'm saying to you is, yes, you have revisited some of these places we've been before. I believe it, I don't know if it was you, but it was somebody at one of our board meetings said, haven't we been here before? It was before we found Melinda, before you found Melinda. Yes, we have been there before, and we're going to keep going there unless you realize we are your greatest asset. And we are committed to moving this agency forward in partnership. And we ask you to partner with us and invest in us. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Other comments from the room? Public comment from online? Are they able to unmute themselves? Oh, Dave.
Yes.
No, ma'am.
We don't appear to have any today.
Okay, with that, we will close public input and comment. And go to our business items. Business item number one. Draft number one, the 2026 annual budget. And I believe I'm turning it over first to our executive director and then to our following.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Over the last week or so, we've had a couple of iterations. I'm going to start us off with a page. For those of you online, I'm hoping Meg sent that to you just a bit ago between 9 o'clock and now. Melanie's given me a thumbs up. Great. Oh, no, you haven't received it? Okay. Anyhow, we're gonna start with a supplemental addendum, and that was something
I'm
that.
sorry,
That's
ma'am.
okay.
It is in our packet. It arrived just for reference at 3:16. Well, I have a revised 2026 draft that arrived at 3:16 yesterday to anyone online trying to find it.
Thank you. There should have been one sent out today at 9 a.m., but it was just the supplemental addendum, which is the last page. So Meg, if you could please send that out to Janet.
Is that different than the supplemental capital list, just to make sure I'm on the right pages?
It's called Capital Expenses Supplemental Addendum.
Yeah,
I'll
we
send
didn't,
it
we
out.
didn't get anything this morning.
I
Nothing.
will
Oh,
send
okay.
something out right now.
Thanks,
And
Meg.
that will be the correct one. I
Thank
apologize
you.
for not doing it
Thanks.
earlier. Yep,
Just,
one
is
second.
it Department 501, a capital expense supplemental addendum?
Yes.
Okay, I
correct.
just want to make sure I'm on the right pages and we'll get this
Thank
sorted so
you.
we have this material in advance. Thank you, Melinda.
Yeah, you bet. So, on the, in a conversation with Commissioner Johnson, we talked about this budget process for 2026 and how we could best describe, looking at what is new, what is, carried over from a previous year, and what is, potentially on a waiting list. And so we developed this supplemental addendum, and I thought we would start there, and then we'll let Paul launch into the pages of the budget. But I thought the focus, it would help to really clear a lot of things within the budget. So I'll give it just a moment or two. Have you guys received that by email yet?
Got it.
Janet has hers. Okay, Melanie has hers. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Again, I apologize.
No worries. Okay, so we'll get started out. The first, we'll start with new improvements, which can be considered expansion, but they're essentially new projects for the 2026 budget year. The first one being automatic passenger counters. We have talked about this particular project in past board meetings. And right now we have a placeholder in the budget for $1 million. That project is in process and awaiting price proposals from our RFP process, which is going to be closing here in late October. So we hope to have a more defined number for you to include in draft 2 of the budget at that point, but I just kind of kept this number in there as a holding. So those particular items go on our buses. The automatic passenger counters are a heat sensitive way to count boardings and deboardings and determine peak times of the day. Currently, we have our operators take those manual counts. However, long range planning process, this software or automated passenger counter will really help us to identify where we need service to be more frequently and where our highest peak times are. This is a transit industry standard and very considerable. If we were ever to be a federal direct recipient, it would be numbers that have to be certified by a statistician, so that would take its place. So any questions on that particular project? Yes.
You said heat sensitive.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I understood the message.
Okay, a lot of our
Melinda,
projects.
Melinda,
Yes.
sorry, I
Yes.
was going to raise my hand, but my mouse and I
That's
aren't
okay.
fast enough. These are the expenses. Have we, and this is awaiting RFP. Have we identified the revenue for this item? Or will it, I have 2 questions now since public input. Or will it be a grant? We will pursue it as a grant project. Do we have identified revenue?
We would look at making a transfer from our reserve to capital.
From our operational reserves
Yes.
or capital? reserves?
I frequently, when it has to do with software or this type of automation to our buses, I tend not to do the grant funding because of all of the many federal requirements there are.
All right, some of our reserves are, okay. And then we had the public input about our existing software challenges, which we have
Yes.
discussed in the past. Does this interface with the existing software or not?
That is part of the scope criteria to ensure that it interfaces with it and that we don't have to buy additional systems. Now, the automatic passenger counters will have a software data program to it, but it will need to interface with what we have existing, but it's seamless to the operator.
But if the, and I don't, we need to vet the public input and all of that, but in listening, if the current software is not working, then I want to make sure we're not linking to something that isn't a product that meets our needs. Do you follow me? And I need
I
to
do.
vet that. I'm not assuming,
do.
this raises
Sure.
what do we need to investigate? Not that I'm assuming
Right.
everything,
No.
but
No, and I hear that frustration. I collected all 3 of the contracts that were put into place prior to my arrival, current software that we have. And so we are approximately halfway into a 3-year contract. So it would be expensive for us to just drop and move to something else. So
Yeah, I
what we are
get it.
doing is getting additional training such as Echo Lane, where we have our new operations manager and our assistant operations managers going down for additional training. So we are trying to work through that.
okay, we can do that debrief. We've talked about these
Okay.
efforts on our system later. I just wanted to note that. Or
Sure.
just ask that question. I'm not asserting anything, just asking the questions.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so the next, you'll notice on our new projects that a lot of these are safety centered. We have, the second one is a rideshare risk reduction equipment, and what that means is it's telemetrics that is best practice recommended by our risk pool insurer. This would be a grant funded project for 26. And it's telemetrics for the van pool, which includes camera, software, and cloud storage. So those things will help us to determine in the van pools that things are going on correctly, or if there's an accident, would help with the investigation. And that's also a standard in the van pools across the agencies.
Question.
Yes,
Those cameras are obviously looking out. Are they-
External.
They're totally external.
external, yes.
They're not recording conversations.
We're not required to.
But we're not going to, is that right?
We haven't done the scope yet, so we'll have to take a look at that. We don't intend on doing that.
Well, we'll need a policy then.
Yeah, we are working hard at WISTIP to ensure this remains as a best practice and not a requirement. As they were pushing for this to be a requirement, so. Okay. All right, the next safety item is something near and dear to a lot of us. As you know and are aware, we've had more than one fatality in between Ryan's house and our Coopville base. I have reached out and working with WashDOT Chris Demetrio, and we have come to an agreement to be able to install a flashing light signal going both directions between Coopville and Ryan's house. And I have agreed, or I have proposed to cost share with them at 50%. It costs approximately $52,000 to install. And I am willing to go 26,000 so that we can save more lives. And the second thing that they asked me for is, would I be interested in also cost sharing in the maintenance and operation on an annual basis? I asked for a cost estimate on that, and they estimated at the very high end. I just received it this morning via email, which is why it's not in your packet, but that is about $1,000 a year. That's depending upon if, say, someone hits the pole, knocks it down, it could be more than that, but we would look at that as a board, or you would look at that as a board in an MOU down the line. But we feel, according to WashDOT, we can have this installed by summer of 26. So that would be a huge Very happy about that. I'm gonna skip over the,
GSP Mayor has a
Uh,
question.
oh, yes, I'm
quick question with regard to, if you are willing to speak to the matter of a turn lane. Coming into Highland Transit, because that, I mean, it's extended, the lanes are wide, just. Toward Coopville, do you have any comments on, that you could make on that regarding not necessarily this present year, but just
sure.
for the record?
Sure, I think a turn lane would be fantastic because it's a state highway. That is something that our IRTPO board and our county commissioners would work on in that group. With the state to try to get those type of, improvements made.
Excellent, I think it would certainly hugely improve the
I
safety.
think Janet may want to, address that.
I do. So I hear you. And yes, it is something we can discuss at IRTPO, but IRTPO tends to be major projects. Petitioning WashDOT for a turn lane doesn't rise to the cost level that and Melanie, you can speak to me here. You've chaired to IRTPO, but it is something that anyone can petition WashDOT on a turn lane if that's what we want. It is not unlike this flashing light project was not a $1 million project, which is how we use IRTPO, our regional transportation planning organization, to prioritize and be disciplined in our major capital projects. A turn lane, if we already have the shoulder width to accommodate that, in my mind, isn't a major capital project. It's something we could petition WashDOT to consider. If it does involve shoulder widening or there are right-of-way issues or things like that, then it becomes more complicated in an IRTPO project. Melanie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, not really. I think that is something that should be a discussion between Melinda and Chris Demetrio. And then if Island Transit wanted a letter of support from the IRTPO, we would
Yes.
probably consider something like that.
So,
That's
and
it.
I would be more than happy to pursue that. When I hear turn lane, I'm thinking of a left-hand turn lane going south. So I'm thinking middle of the road versus shoulder widening, but I was also
You still have to
thinking,
have
Janet,
you still have to have,
the shoulder
the
to do that.
standards of,
Okay,
how wide that road is. And so, I'll give an example from what I know. So when Senator Mary Margaret Haugen added funding to increase the width of Highway 532 and upgrade the bridge, we added extra width for future planning in order to accommodate turn lanes or other safety features that we might need to consider over here. And those are part of the active planning between Stanwood and Camino on what are we doing on that traffic safety route. So what I don't know is in front of our building, if the size of the highway there has the capacity to accommodate a turn lane in addition to the regular lane. These are all questions we can ask online and explore with Mr. Demetrio. And
Sure.
Melanie's right. If it is not something that requires major funding, then we are more than happy to consider a letter of support.
right.
And that's taking.
I think I was under the impression that it had to be on the safety plan. With the, that prioritized project, I think that's where I was going with it, but no, I'd
Yeah,
be
I
happy
hear
to work
you.
with Chris on it.
I just don't want common sense solutions to get lost in the bureaucracy of the
I
interjurisdictional
agree.
problems we're trying to solve.
Yeah,
And if it's
I
a
agree.
simple problem to solve, we should be solving it. And I know Commissioner Bacon agrees with me, and Molly had that perspective. Mayor, not Molly, Mayor Mayor Hughes. So from my perspective, I'm less patient with bureaucracy when we can solve the problems simply by having our organizations talk to one another. What
Okay.
we have to be disciplined about is major projects and expenditures, and that we're disciplined and collaborative in planning for those. So I don't mean to second guess you on this.
No, I didn't take it like that.
Okay, I just,
Thank you.
I don't want to wait for the wheels of a grinding bureaucracy to move forward on
Right.
something that we could maybe solve just by setting up a meeting and talking to one another and seeing.
Well, and
what
I
we
think
can
you
do.
know by now, the way I jumped on the traffic signal when he offered it up in the meeting, I won't be shy in asking for the turn lane.
Yep, and
So,
I
will reach
appreciate
out.
that, and I have a meeting coming up with WashDOT on some other projects in my own district, so I'm happy to just
Okay.
tag that on if you'd like me to. But now I'm gonna put my Island Transit hat back on.
Okay,
I like the way you said that, Commissioner St. Clair making common sense comment. So there you go.
Just, it looks on the, just appearance that there is enough wood, just, but as a layman, just looking at it, and I'm talking about southbound. And my own research is that 1 out of 5 fatalities on the road are failure to lead, failure to yield right away. Okay, and that would count here, so I think that there's just evidence that it would be a great plus to have a turn lane, that's all.
okay. I will reach out. All right,
So I have a question.
yes.
Do we know what we're signing up for when we agree to share the maintenance and operations costs? I mean,
Yeah.
one thing to pay $1,000, which sounds very little.
Right.
Are we talking about changing light bulbs or do we know?
Well, an MOU will define that and that will come before the board, before it's signed. So we will look at all those things. They're trying to pull that information together. And the $1,000 would be the overall cost, so ours would be 500.
Oh, I see.
But those details still have to be worked
Okay.
out. Yeah, but good question.
Yeah.
So we gotta know what's involved in that. Okay,
I just want to say, Melinda, that I appreciate
yes.
you being proactive on this and trying to find ways to, reduce the harm to the citizens. So I support this. Thank you.
So do I, yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm gonna skip over the next item, because I'm gonna give, some information on the safety barriers and then I want to share some time with Danny, from our ATU, board member. So, I wanna jump to the phone upgrade. So, we have had a phone project apparently that has been in progress for the last 3 to 4 years in our IT department. We are getting ready to begin the process and I have a few concerns that because the project has been delayed for so long, I want to ensure that we are getting the latest technology to support our phone system, especially with our new Ziply fiber. We have a new IT manager to be hired. And I would like the benefit between now and our second draft of this for him to look at that technology, he or she, to look at that technology. And then let us know by our next budget if we need to add additional money to this project so that we're not installing something that needs to be replaced next year. That is my fear. So we did a really rough estimate and these are my friendly IT network administrator. This is not his job responsibility, but we tried to put a rough estimate and we put 300 here. So we will come back and draft 2 and hopefully we will have our new IT manager and have a closer cost estimate for that. Similar to that is our security camera patch panel. So as you know, or may remember in 25, we had new security cameras, upgrades that were installed in our parking lots and our park and rides. And it has come to our attention that the current panel does not support the graphic acceleration that's needed to view video and pictures. It's very grainy, meaning that there needs to be a patch done so that we can actually retrieve pictures and video that are clear. So again, we did a very rough estimate here and I will have the new IT manager also take a look at this and we put in 15,000. We can probably get by with what we have on a second look, but it is very grainy. And I would hate to see us put all the money into that project and not have good data coming out of it under software. So, okay. So, for the last new improvement projects, I'd like to talk about, bus driver safety barriers. Early on in coming in to Island Transit, we had the tragedy, in Seattle of the murder of Sean Yim. And at that time, ATU was on the forefront, as well as all of our neighboring transit agencies, in looking at driver protection barriers. And while we are not King County, I do feel that we need to be prepared for the future. I don't believe it's a situation of if, I think it's when. So I did a couple of things. Early on in our LMRC meetings, many of our partners, Community Transit, King County Metro, went out and did an RFP process. And that RFP process was able to involve operators in selecting the type of barriers to go into the buses. And where that is really important is there's a lot of varying opinions. You know, some drivers want it, some drivers don't. There are issues of glare that come up. There are a number of factors involved. So I kind of thought I was coming along the right way by taking a look at what was ready-made out there. And so I spoke to our Gillig manufacturer, got some pricing, which is the pricing you see. It says 140,000. That's retrofits for 8 buses. So what that means is it averages out to about 17,000 a piece to install these barriers. For new bus purchases, in this particular scenario, the safety barriers would be included as an option on the bus. So it would be more or less included with the grant purchase. After speaking with Danny the other day and getting the RFP, I actually reached out to Rick Engelfritz, the GM for Community Transit, who shared their RFP as well as their award. They got some really good pricing. Their pricing for 312 buses averaged about 8,900 a bus, so almost half of what we would spend with a ready-made. So I want to approach this the right way. I think this is a discussion for board members and for ATU. Matt was kind enough to take a look at Community Transit's current contract, which was awarded. And there is a clause there that would possibly allow us to piggyback on that and allow our drivers to utilize the prototypes that CT has to see, you know, how that works for our drivers. But, you know, Danny and I talked quite a bit about this on our one-on-one. So I wanted to be transparent and say we have options here. And I'm happy to do an RFP process. It's a long process, but we also have the option for piggybacking. And then Danny, if you would like to say a few words. we'd like to hear.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Melinda. And to the board members and Island Transit employees and community in this meeting, I just want you to know that the investment in worker safety is and should always be the top priority. I've worked my entire career in Snohomish County and coming up through the ranks from back in the 90s, we always thought those assaults happen in King County. They don't happen in our little community. And as things have changed in the past 10 years, the rise in operator assaults across the country has increased 600%. Currently in Snohomish County, every year we are seeing stabbings. We've had 2 this year, knife threatening behavior with knives, stabbings, guns being fired on the coach. We've had a person shot and killed on the coach. Not this year, it was previous, but things we never thought we'd see that wouldn't reach our community. And we've worked really, really hard on getting a barrier in place. It wasn't the quickest solution. It wasn't the least expensive solution. but we searched the entire, country for the best options. And it was a very collaborative process with the agency and the union. Our members were involved, the people that, do the work to develop the criteria, to create that RFP. Like Melinda said, a lot of that groundwork has already been done. However, I would absolutely encourage you, even if you can start a little bit ahead, to begin right away involving a team of your frontline workers in that process, because the investment in their safety is going to, become apparent that the agency's really interested in their feedback and incorporating that and shaping how they move forward. You'll get buy-in, you'll get, the satisfaction with the final product will really be there. I really applaud you guys for being proactive, being willing to incorporate, feedback from, employees, and to look at all your options and choose carefully. It was a risk for us to take the long path, because every month we're getting assaults, right? Ready-made barriers were pretty appealing, but to be at the forefront and really create a product that will set the bar across the country. The system that we ended up choosing is manufactured in Canada, Vision System Canada. And they've been trying to break into the US market. They've been doing these kind of fully enclosed barriers in Europe for decades. But just just opening that door for, for our workers and our community, and the other transit agencies across the country. So that's really, Melinda always, she's a very transparent with exactly what she's doing, what the vision is. We want to partner with you guys to get this across the finish line. So
Thank you.
thank you.
And for the board members, my initial was to start this on fixed route. And Danny, can I ask, did Community Transit, are they doing this on paratransit as well? Fixed route?
And so our.
Oh, that's right, rapid, that's right. So for us, because cutaways represent a whole different type of model, I guess I would want the board's direction on that as well. If we do an RFP process, if we include both fixed route and paratransit, so that we do this once, that might be a more cost effective and time effective way to go. But so I'll open it up for questions or comments.
The quantity aspect may be one of the reasons why
Yeah.
there was such a difference
Yeah.
between.
I'm sure it's a huge factor.
Huge factor, and then, so if there's some way to just do the quantity piece with the paratransit, if it's something related, that maybe might get a price break.
Thank you. Janet. Sorry. Oh,
It's okay. You can either one of you. I really appreciate this conversation. This has been on my mind for a while and in conversations I've had both inside and outside of work. But it raises a question. We're creating mechanical solutions, which I'm supportive of going forward with this inquiry and what will eventually come before the board in terms of a contract. I would like to ask the question or put a pin in, also, do we need to update our employee safety protocols as part of this process? So that we're asking the question of, is there any in anything else we can be doing, whether it's, and I know this is controversial, whether it's cameras on our cutaways, or whether on all our buses, or whether the barriers, or training, or like de-escalation training, whatever are some of the best practices of today that may not be included in our employee safety protocols. And just to take a hard look at that, we know that mental health issues are increasing in our community, and I'm not trying to demonize in any way that people with mental illness are more likely to be a victim of violence. But I also want to make sure our drivers are safe. So is there a possibility with our new HR director to just take a look at our employee safety protocols and see if there are other best practices we need to be evaluating?
Yes, and I agree with you on that, Janet. You know, we recently entered into that MOU with Oak Harbor Police Department as well. And at the beginning of the year, they're going to be coming in, and it pertains more to the facilities, but we're also holding exercises with them on active shooter training, a number of things, but we do need to flesh out that safety policy. And get it up to speed, up to date. I didn't bring any new positions to the board for 2026, but for 2027, I have a safety position in mind because that's typical in your transit agencies to have that centralized person that's always looking at those things, but that's for down the road.
For down the road, I just want to, I'm excited to have a permanent HR person that can take this on as his book of business in terms of.
Yeah.
the coming year.
Parents, would you make a note on it? Thank you.
And we are incorporating already. Could I speak real fast?
Certainly.
I did just approve training for our trainers to go do some preemptive work on these trainings for operators to protect themselves, like in the sea and with, verbal kind of judo. It's happening in February. WISTIF and WISTA are focusing on that, operator safety. So we are going to incorporate that also in our trainings that we have with our operators.
And this is not to-
Refresher and new operator training.
Appreciate that.
Great.
That's good
Great,
to
thank
hear.
you.
And this is not to minimize what was brought forward, but to amplify the employee safety conversation.
Certainly. Thank you, Aaron.
Certainly supportive of, whatever is needed to keep operators, safe. And, community transit is a huge agency and they, have a safety department that I'm sure is evaluating the solution that is being proposed. And I would think, I mean, somebody here mentioned that there was a glare potentially imagined on the screen. So that is a safety issue for the driver when driving. So it would be great to reach out to the safety manager and
Ariel.
as you know, and ask for, see if we could at least see what his department's opinion is of the solution, just to make sure that there's, you know, safety outside the bus and we're not putting, you know, pedestrians and other people at risk.
Sure.
If I can respond to that. So that is an issue, glare, also rattling noise that the barriers make. The current process that we're in brought a prototype out to the base so that, you know, we could actually evaluate the materials used, which are meant to minimize glare, or if not eliminate it. And they did some, you know, actual, you know, designing of the attachment to minimize any rattling. So all of those, you know, safety concerns are being addressed. And when the final prototype was locked in, that's being created, then it will come back and it will actually go into service. At that time, we can dial it in again. So I'm thinking that you guys are going to be coming in way ahead of the process that we were when we started. But those issues have been addressed.
Was Ariel part of your team?
So Mike Suela is taking the lead on that. Yeah.
Okay. Can I get that contact information from you?
I can get it to you too.
Okay, perfect.
Sure.
That knows everybody.
Just kind of smiling because, you know, polar glare has been mitigated for decades by polarizing plastics and glass and rattles. I mean, this seems very basic. So I'm thinking the contractor, whoever's doing it, you know, is interested in cost control or maximizing profit. So I'm mindful of that too. But those seem like very basic
they're basic, but they're huge concerns for barriers that are in coaches today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, thank you all for listening to my proposals for new projects. As far as the rest of our list goes, we have split it out into preservation, meaning replacement, vehicles, maintenance and such, and then also, improvements or expansion. So I've tried to be very methodical here in outlining for the board, work or projects that were approved in the 25 budget that are being extended into 26 because the work is in progress. So just going through, we have our park and rides, that's a routine improvement. Our fuel building, which was approved in 25, that work is extending into 26, so that was already approved. Our HVAC project was an approved project. Computer software, I want to indicate here, this is the current subscriptions that we have. So this is an ongoing maintenance cost. This is not an expansion of our software projects. I had placed our 12 hybrid electric buses, as you know. We were successful in being able to flip our hydrogen to the hybrid electric, and we're really excited about that. However, I'm so excited, I placed it on this list, and the year of expenditure is 27. So it really shouldn't be on here. It is business item number 2 that we're gonna ask for permission to place the order. But we will be removing that in draft 2, and you will see it reflected. It'll still be in our TDP. That way it meets the requirements of programming in the STIP and our grant, but we don't have to reflect it till 27.
Delivery of the buses is in 2027.
If we get them ordered now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about an 18 months.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So support vehicles, these are 5 admin vehicles, the 1-ton maintenance truck and 2 small facility trucks. Those are replacements. We have, I moved the one in red that says support vehicle, 1 heavy facility truck. It had been included below in expansion in a previous version you got, so that's why it's in red there. I brought it up under preservation.
Janet, I see your hand.
Oh.
You're on mute.
I could let Melinda finish a sentence. It's fine.
She breathed, so now it's your turn.
She took a breath. We let people
Yeah.
breathe in this business.
I-
At some point, I'd like to see our replacement vehicle program be in an ER&R program so we can see it laid out over years. And in the support vehicle heavy facility truck, I noted when I was going to work this morning that there was one of our cutaways on a flatbed truck over here on Camino. I thought we had invested in a large truck. Are we investing in another one, or what am I seeing, and what are we talking about with this heavy facility truck?
I'm gonna defer over to Michael.
So to speak to that, the 1-ton maintenance truck is our shop truck, our tool truck. It's for side of the road repairs. What you were seeing was the semi truck and trailer that this agency has owned for a very long time, upwards of 12 years. And the truck that you saw this morning is a smoother, quick operation to snatch something up that may be immovable on its wheels. So that was the situation from yesterday at Camino, is to just get it back here quickly this morning.
Michael, is that, do we own that flatbed truck? Cause I confession, I feel like I'm playing with Tonka toys and don't remember all of the ones that we've acquired and which ones we contract for. Do we own that flatbed?
We do own that flatbed.
Okay, and then this heavy facility truck is our heavy duty mobile maintenance truck, and this is a replacement, or is this a new acquisition? And Melinda?
This is a replacement.
Replacement.
Okay, I'm in the game, just need to get it all clear in my head. And
No worries. Thank
I
you.
like
Thank you.
Tonka trucks, by the way.
So also to your point, Janet, Michael has a vehicle replacement list. that is included with our TAM plan, which will be starting to get updated in November this year. It's a requirement by WASDOT, so I can always provide that. We can provide it to the board so you can see the replacement schedule.
It's probably good when we're considering these budget changes to see where things
Sure.
fit. But,
Okay,
Uh,
we have an updated one, so I'd be happy to bring that with our draft two, if you'd like. Or would you like it
I'm one
sent
of,
to you?
I'm one of many members here, so I can.
Yes, well, I mean, I'd like to ask the members, would you like to see it with draft two? Would you like us to send the vehicle replacement list out to you via email?
Draft two's fine.
Draft two, Melanie? Draft
I'm-
two is fine?
I'm good with draft two.
Okay, excellent, that's
Commissioner-
what we will do.
Commissioner St. Clair, we actually talked about it, I think it was on Monday, of having line of sight to that replacement document so that we can look at long-term forecasting and expenditures way out into the future.
Yeah.
So from a stewardship perspective, I think that would be good to have eyes on.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Okay. Can you make a note on that, please, Michael? Thank you. Okay, so now, we come down to expansion. And so these, again, these are carryovers from our 25 budget, and essentially because we have the work extending into 26. So we have our electric transformer, our bus stop seats, our bus shelters, pullouts for the feasibility study, real-time bus stop displays, Terry's Corner, computer equipment, that is our data storage, vehicle trailers, large buses, that is, those are currently on order that we've approved that will be expended in 26, the two hybrid non-grant vehicles. Rideshare vehicles, which were on our budget and carried over, will be receiving those. I made one mistake here. Under preservation replacement, there are 6 buses you'll see in draft 2 that we were awarded through our grant funded process through WASDOT, and it's 6.5 million. I should have included that in the replacement vehicles above. So you'll see that in draft 2, and it's going to be expended in November or December of 26 is when we receive those vehicles. So they are on order already. I should have included them up there, right? Did I get that right, Michael?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Back to the preservation category.
Yes.
When do we receive the Chrysler plugins?
The Chrysler.
There's
plugins.
14 rideshare vehicles, was it?
Yes, the 14 ride shares, those are grant funded, so we will order 7 in January and 7 in April. And we intend on having those in the end of 26, right?
Yes.
And the reason we are doing those staggered is not only for ordering through the manufacturer, the staggered is also receiving them and getting them ready for in-service for our facility. So
So will they be in service in 2026 or 2027?
26.
It should be in service in 26.
And is it a 1-for-1 replacement? With, in other words, 14
Yeah.
van pools being, surplus or?
Yes, it'll be a 1+ surplus.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Just a quick observation about software, hardware, new systems. Okay, because planned obsolescence has been around forever, but it's really magnified with regard to technology. So I would request that, just as a general principle, that with all these additions and upgrades, I just please monitor the long-term contractual costs of updates, compatibility, maintenance, and warranties. Can we get valid warranty? Because again, whenever we're dealing with contractors, they're looking at the bottom line as well as their top line.
Well, I will say that coming into this agency and finding 4 different softwares, I feel your frustration. And then from a conservative financial standpoint, it's up to me to say, okay, let me see the contracts. How far into this contract are we? So at this point in time, because we're in the middle of those, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. At the same time, I'm looking forward to a new IT manager that can go in and look at these things. So as we're approaching the end of these contracts, we can make a more informed approach on software and all of those things that you're saying.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm gonna give it to the real financial whiz, which is Paul.
I do have one
Actually,
question first, if we're done
yes.
with this page. So I
Yes.
was really interested in being able to differentiate between how much of this 37.2 or so, 37.2 is from our fund balance and how much is coming from grants. And so it looked to me like um, under the first grouping, about 8 million is coming out of fund balance. The rest of that is coming from grants. And then the other 12 million at the bottom is coming from fund balance. Is that correct? So we're looking at about 20 million of this entire thing being fund balance?
I'm gonna have
Correct.
to let Paul answer that, Melanie, because we
Okay.
really don't have it split out that way, Paul.
One thing I can say is that, we're showing a net cash from operations of about plus 5 million. Our total, our capital expenses are exceeding the incoming revenues by about 13.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take a look at the section for capital revenues, you can see a detail of how that grant monies, how those grant reimbursements are showing, and we're showing about 14 million coming in.
Can you point them to a page?
That would be page 3 of 31, about the middle section,
Okay.
where it talks about capital revenues. Hopefully, that at least leads us to answering your question. I'm not sure if I totally answered it, but how I would begin explaining it.
Every month, the Board of County Commissioners, one of the things that we look at is the treasurer's report, and that includes how much money that Island Transit has basically in your bank. And so I'm just curious to know how much that's going to be depleted.
Well, the change in our reserve balance listed in this budget is about 8.6 million. And that would be monies that would reduce our reserve, our current reserve,
Okay,
over
so
the course of 2026.
it's that 8 million that I was talking about, and then the other 11 you already have in 25, and we're just carrying that over.
Correct.
The 11.9. Okay. Thank
Yes.
you.
And thank you, Melanie, for bringing that up. I didn't actually address those two projects. We called it on the waiting list. Wanted to let you know on South Whidbey Transit Center. I have worked with WashDOT, our grant partners, as well as the Northern Real Estate Office to take a look at doing a feasibility study on another property that will allow us to keep this grant money going and also coincide with our long-range plan to see if in fact, we absolutely do need a facility. If we do, we will have that alternative analysis on the Clinton Park and Ride. So that was a huge win. We kind of finished that up on Wednesday as far as the talks about that. And then the other project is 3 existing chargers that we had from 2024, which we're just waiting to install those for the appropriate vehicles and next steps. So, thanks. Sorry, Paul. It's all yours now, I promise.
Well, I think I'd like to start by just talking about the process of the 2026 budget. We really started in June. We put together a lot of information, sent it out to the managers, had them look at their individual budgets and items. There was a lot of work done by people kind of understand existing projects and new projects and the costs associated. And then also, you know, I talked with HR, about wages and benefits. Did also some calculations on my end, so it was really a process starting in June, bringing all these costs together and laying it out in this format for you. Like I said, we started with the manager's templates and then developed a TDP. And then from there, once we were completed with that process, we transferred over and used a lot of the same information to develop this budget. The way the budget's laid out, just from a theoretical perspective, is, you know, we have that really basic resolution page followed by the summary. And it's listed by account. Then it breaks down into more detail by department. And then it even goes to the greater detail, listing each department separately. This year, we've added the supplemental, which is our hope to create more clarity around capital purchases by your categories, which we just talked about. And one thing you'll see in this budget is to try and improve the clarity even in the summary level report, where it's listing, for example, support vehicles in more detail. So you can really just go to that summary page and see a lot. Of course, you can go deeper in those other schedules, but what the hope is to give it a little more clarity. What I'd like to do is just talk for a few minutes about the highlights in our draft one, and should emphasize draft one is continually evolving, changing, and we're just trying to make it clearer and more precise. So we'll see another draft next month.
I have a question.
Yes.
What will they see on the second month draft in red?
Oh, you know, for any changes between drafts, we're gonna redline.
Do you hear that, Janet?
And you know, sometimes it might not look like a red line. It might be a bubble in red just because I'm looking at the cell. But
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
Paul. It's not
Great.
really like I need to see it in red. I need to be able to track changes from one draft to the next. I appreciate that effort.
yeah, and it's important. And we'll do our best to accommodate that. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the highlights in our 2026 budget. And the first area is oftentimes most interesting. It's FTE equivalents and how many employees that we're planning to maintain in the agency. And when the total is 157, which is one less than. And we're showing an increase in operators, 5 operators, and a decrease in staff of 6 support staff, for a net of -1. So pretty consistent with last year's budget. And there are 2 notes in this budget highlights. This includes 2 anticipated hires that are not new FTEs. It's an accountant and a maintenance technician. So also, right now we have 69 drivers in our budget. We're forecasting 81 FTEs. I shouldn't say drivers, operators, excuse me. And so you can see the breakout on that highlight page. Sales taxes is
Just a second.
Go ahead.
I'm curious about the reduction in the supervisor and the staff. Which positions are we not hiring or we're eliminating?
I would have to get back to you and provide that detail, but just in broad totals, that's non-counting.
So, I can answer per your question there, and this needed to be illustrated. The 2 positions, what we've done is we have restructured from within the organization, so we haven't lost any positions. But for example, we had 3 dispatch supervisors. We only need 2, and where did we put the extra one? Never
For
mind.
later, the supervisor one is not happening. We're keeping that position. The dispatch supervisor, we're gonna rehire, maybe planning or a department that needs that position.
We're shifting it over to
Shifting
planning.
resources. We don't need 3 dispatch supervisors.
And I'm not certain, I would have to look at HR and Paul for what the -4 is. I don't know. Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I'd be interested in what that is.
Yeah.
do you know?
-4 for staff.
Yeah. So I'll leave it up to you and HR
Yeah, we'll have
to
to
determine
tell
what those are, so you can provide a narrative.
Yeah.
I know it said one less, the one less field supervisor, but we're not doing that. We're keeping that position.
I should emphasize it's a comparative between budgets.
So it's not
just
specific,
see.
it's not specific to any one position, it's just comparatively from 2025 budget to 2026 budget. Yeah. Makes sense.
Sales tax, forecasted to be 18.7 million, which would be an increase by 2.5% in 2025 receipts. Operating grants,
Paul, before you leave sales tax, in the long version, let me see if I can pull it back up. I thought it said 6.3% increase in sales tax is predicted. Am I reading the variance number wrong? So if you go into our, which I thought was way too high to predict. So when you go into our revenue on the resolution that has the detailed budget, and you have the revenue of, where's my operating revenue, sales tax, operating number 61101, the variance says 6.3%. Is that an increase? And then you said we only increased it 2.5%. And
That's
so
right.
am I reading the variances versus what's in the budget highlights? I need to make sure I understand why those are different.
the reason for the difference on the summary where you're reading the 6.3%, that's a comparative between budgets. And the increase in sales tax is.
I got it. It's between actuals and, never mind, I'm with
generated
you.
off the actuals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm in the game now. Sorry, I should have known the answer to that question before I asked it.
Yeah. And, I'm presenting it budget against budget because
Right.
I think that that's the best comparison on the schedule.
Yep.
But we are always trying to keep track of our actual.
But your
And,
revenue
try
projection
to
for
make sure
sales
that-
tax was only 2.5% increase next year, not tracking like we had a 4 and 6% in prior years. It's tracking to conservative of what we're actually seeing in our statewide predictions and the Island County predictions. Okay, I'm sorry, I should have known the answer to that. Sorry
No,
for
that's-
taking your time.
Oh, yes. In this budget, we're showing 5 operating grants. It has a total of $7.7 million. It's equalization, pure transit, our 411, 412 connectors, mobility management, and a new one, a ride share incentive. So you can take a look at that in the detail.
What is rideshare incentive?
We're applying for a grant, maybe I could. Somebody in our rideshare program explain this better than me. But I believe it's a grant to improve our ridership. In our vehicle ridership. Our revenue, on the revenue and expense side, operating revenues are projected to be 28.4 million, 7% increase from last year's budget. Operating expense forecast to be 23.5 million, a 6.6% increase from the 2025 budget. And so between those, we're seeing approximately a $5 million operating surplus, which, as we already talked a little bit about, will net against our forecasted capital deficit in order to shift our reserves into negative about 8.6 million. So we'd be spending down our reserve by 8.6 million. Cash reserves, total cash reserve is budgeted to increase 6.2 million or 10.87 from the 2025 budget. But actually decreased, like we said, 8.6 million from the predicted ending actual. All right, next page is medical and dental coverage. We have two medical plans. A $3,000 deductible, their employer covers deductibles, and also our PPO 500, where that isn't the case, where it's not covering deductibles. The average rates of those two medical plans is slated to increase 11.75%.
So then I have a question, if that's the case. I went and looked through your detailed spreadsheet and you have the medical expenses and going from, there's one or two departments that's showing a decrease of 10%, and then there's a department where it's going up by 63%. And I'm a little confused about how there could be that big of a swap in medical insurance costs.
I think it has to do with the way the departments are quantified, laid out. Para is also always an estimated, it's kind of an artificial breakout because our operators are oftentimes performing a dual function. So it's really a matter of where those medical expenses are placed, either in, let's say, 100 or 104 or 108, 110. So it's best not to look at those individually, but really to look at them in sum. And certainly, I'll take a closer look at that to try and perhaps give a better assignment so that those are better properly reflect the overall percentage change. But I think that's the reasoning why you're seeing those differences is that the medical expenses perhaps need to be allocated differently between those departments. And I'll look at that one.
So, and I echo Commissioner Bacon's concern about the difference, but I'm also mindful of the fact that there's some things which we, as a board, can have an understanding, and also the staff, with regard to what the costs are for the contractors. But one of the great mysteries is the great black box of what is really costing the insurance companies and what their profit margins are and these sorts of things. So I would encourage a scrutinizing of that piece because we don't want to be taken by the insurance companies. You know,
To be fair, if truthfully, the average increase for medical and dental and so on for 2026 is about 5.5%, that is very consistent with the market, and it's not an unreasonable amount. So your total information that you have on this page where it says 5.5%, I'm cool with that, Paul. It's when I go and look at the detailed breakdown and I see minus 10% for one department and I see increase of 63% in another department, that's where I become flummoxed.
Yeah, I once again, I'll take a closer look at that. I think the answer really is how that cost is apportioned between those departments. And without looking at this more closely right now, I would have to say, I'm gonna have to look at on my spreadsheets to see what how that is automated and being reflected, and just
Paul.
look at it more closely.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jenny.
No, you got it for questions.
No, I was gonna ask where we can find the Kaiser HRA amount.
The accepted benefit HRA. I just don't see it in here. I looked on page 2 of 31 where you have the grouping of medical expenditures.
We're talking about a deferred count plan.
No,
The
no,
HRA.
HRAs are medical.
I have a call.
is the HRA portion that we set aside, is that lumped in with the premium totals where you have medical insurance? Or is there a separate line item for the HRA?
We can take it away, but if you could let us know, and if it is baked into the medical, if that could be a separate line item on its own. So that we're
Absolutely.
seeing as that amount is being eroded, then we have line of sight, and I apologize. I did bring that up on Monday and I didn't kind of circle back when I asked the question, but I've kind of gone through here and I don't see it.
So in other words, we
And
think it,
Stephanie's smarter than me, she can find it either.
do we think it might be rolled up?
But it needs to be its own line item.
I agree.
Since that's it's a, don't you think, Melanie, because that's an employer funded and we want to see the erosion of it throughout the year.
No,
Since
I
there's no
agree.
rollover. Okay,
I agree.
there's no rollover.
Okay. Sure.
So I wanted to, if I can find it here. Let's see, it's on page 2. Medical, yeah, it's 70203. So budget line number, the medical insurance, it's really helpful to have the history here. 2024, we had $2.17 million budgeted for medical insurance, and today or next year, we're budgeting 1.86. And we should recognize why it's gone down, and that is because Commissioner Bacon, I believe anyway, made this suggestion of this new healthcare insurance program.
Yeah, thank you. That Stephanie ran with it and did a great job implementing it.
So, and I do want to say that one of the advantages to the city of Langley for having a board member here, and when I was acting director, when Commissioner Bacon brought this idea, we were facing, as everybody probably figures out, significant budget pressure in Langley, which is all over the pages of South Whitby Record occasionally. But I made a suggestion and connected Langley with, I think it was Stephanie. I'm not sure who gave you a call, but anyway, it's resulted in significant savings, and I believe it would be a program that the staff of Langley will appreciate. So, yeah.
Okay, and I'll just close out, what I listed here on this highlights page is both capital and operating significant expenses. We've already talked about a number of the capital items.
Paul, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to make one other comment.
Okay.
Advise to extend the comment. The 2024 numbers for the medical insurance were with fewer employees than what the agency has today. So even with more employees, we're seeing, significantly less expense to the agency. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
Like I said, I just want to close out by listing significant expenditures that I just identified by going through our manager template that manager submitted. And for example, in the operating area, anything over 25,000 is just listed, so that increase the transparency around where large expenditures are in the agency.
Paul, can you make a note on under operations item 14, the 12 hybrid buses that'll need to be removed? That'll be a red line.
Sure. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Those are just the highlights. I just wanted to give an overall feel for the budget and how to read the document and just try and draw out the most significant items.
So, thank you, sorry. So I want to talk a little bit then also about salaries. So looking at the detail, we have salaries going from in one department administration going from an increase of like 1.5% or something, if I'm remembering correctly, up to about almost 24% in other departments. And so I know some of that's going to be because some of these departments are reflecting a bargaining unit, negotiations, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. That seems pretty, I don't know. Um, so, but even among the bargaining unit departments, it's not consistent. So, number one, I don't want to get into that too much because this is not a closed session, but I am interested at the minimum in knowing what you used as your number for salary increase for the non-represented individuals.
You know, in the past, I've been told not to put that out there, but I certainly can. I don't know.
Not by me. So Melanie, you would like to see, I'm sure, a projection of increases for 26, correct? For non-represented.
I would like to know what percentage we're using as our increased percentage for non-represented employees in 2026.
Yeah, as the grid was published last year, we had no intention of changing it for this year, so it's about 2.5 between steps.
So
Was that
you're not
answer?
doing a COLA in addition to that?
Well, we will be proposing one and it will be very similar to what we did last year on that wage grid that you provided, which had the 2.5 between, and you included the COLA, so I was gonna follow that model.
Okay, this board will want to see that before we
Yeah, of
approve the
course.
budget.
Sure,
Thank you.
you bet.
You have a question, maybe?
So after Paul walks away, are we done with budget discussion? Or is there more to come?
Well, after he walks away, yeah, I guess
Okay.
we're done with.
So I have a number of
Okay.
questions. And some of these questions, I feel like I should know the answer and I don't know, so I'm
Okay.
sorry. What the emergency operating reserve category is seeing a significant increase. What's going on there?
It is significant. I think it was 7,000 to 15,000, and it was just the.
Million?
What's that?
You said 7 million?
No, 7,000 to 15,000, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went up 7%. So in the 25 budget, it was 5.5. This year, we're projecting 5.9.
Were we talking about emergency supplies? So we just-
Emergency operating
I see.
reserve.
Yeah, that's on page
Reserve.
2 of 31, right? Is that where you are?
I will tell you.
Oh, right. What that is our emergency reserve. We have, we're mandated to keep a reserve. It was a board resolution. And what I normally adjust it to is 3 months of our normal operating expenditures.
Okay,
And so that's adjusted up in order to reserve for increasing costs that we're seeing in the agency.
okay. All right. So that's a very high level question, and I'm just gonna bounce around here. A very low level question is we're budgeting for bus stop video display units. What is that gonna look like? When it's installed, what are those units?
Those are the real-time information that Brad has done the presentations on down at
okay.
the ferry docks.
Great, that's wonderful. Civic initiatives budget of 130K, we have purchasing staff.
We
members now,
do, we
And
do.
we're retaining civic initiatives.
We have several projects under contract with them that were large projects before Nate came on.
I see.
So that's being carried over. So
So
we
it's
have like the long range plan, the APCs have gone through them. And I believe we have the transformer project with them. So we're letting those finish
Sure.
out and then Nate will be taking. So
Okay, and then the long range plan consulting budget which brings up the issue of long range plan.
Mhm.
Will that plan be done in 2026? Will we complete?
You know, that's an interesting question. So we're getting ready to, or most of my staff has already scored their proposals. We had 6 people propose or 6 organizations. And so I have yet to go through the scoring to look at the time frame that they're looking at. I estimate a good long-range plan, 12 to 18 months, but I think a significant portion of it will be done over the next year.
Okay. The climate sustainability line item. The budget seems to reflect that $100,000 was spent this year on that line item. And that's, I think, on page 2. Let me just check.
Yeah, two, if that's with the emergency operating, right?
So
2,
what,
31.
I wasn't aware of them. Am I misreading that? Was there money actually spent this year?
Page 2.
Page 2, budget summary, in the 2025 projected actual.
It's right above the emergency operating.
Says 200,000. I'm not aware any money was spent. Beginning assigned reserve balances.
I see we budgeted 100 in 2024, we budgeted 200 in 2025, the projected actual was 200, and then we're budgeting 300 in 2026.
Oh, projected, but okay.
Yeah,
That's not
this doesn't
spent.
show any expenditures.
This
Okay,
is-
fine. Yeah, we add 100,000, we've been adding 100,000 to this line item. Okay, I understand that. Thank you, Commissioner St. Clair. Was that?
Yes.
Yeah, it was, okay. The rideshare vans, we're bringing in quite a number of much more fuel efficient vans. So why are we not budgeting for less fuel? It
That's a
looks
good
like the
question.
rideshare program is planning to burn more fuel. And surely we're gonna be burning less fuel.
The fuel separated out by program.
And if any buses arrive next year, we're not getting any of our hybrid buses next year at all. Are we?
Yes, we have 8.
So then that question also applies to why are we budgeting for more fuel for a bus that's gonna bring in more efficient buses?
The 2 buses that we're adding will be expansion.
I see, okay. Okay, then that's why we're doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why is the PERS state pension plan contribution declining by 21%? That's on page 15.
There was a significant rate change.
Decline? Are we that much better?
Better off?
Is it?
I think, you know, I was listening to the state
Saving
church.
money.
What's that?
State's gonna be saving money.
You know, I heard, at the conference I was at last week, the state treasurer came and talked about our program, first program. And says, he said it was the number 1 rated.
And that is it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Okay, moving to business item number 2, authorization to purchase 12 35-foot hybrid diesel electric buses originally awarded through the federal F5339B fiscal year 24 bus and bus facilities grant program. And I will hand this over to Representative Brooklyn.
Thank you. Island Transit is requesting permission from the board to order and issue our PO for the 12 hybrid electric, which were formerly the hydrogen grant funded buses. Our cost share under this program is actually 85-15. I think previous numbers you were given was at an 80-20. But anytime you have vehicles that are ADA eligible, it's an 85-15 under federal. So we have grant funds in the amount of $14,959,971 with a local match of $2,657,348. The year of expenditure will be 2027. And our Gillig partners, as soon as we have the approval, and I'm happy to say the obligation from the federal government before it shut down. Gillig jumped in where some people wait for 6 months for pricing. We got it 2 weeks. So We want to get those on order because that grant has been in place already for a year. And we want to make sure we jump on it before tariffs continue to increase. Yes.
What is when we get these buses in, how long will this agency have these buses? Like, what's their life cycle?
12 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael.
14. ULB is 14.
Yeah, that's the agency useful life benchmark. They're eligible for replacement with federal funds at 12 years for 500,000
Okay.
units, right?
Thank
Do
you.
we need a motion before I ask the question? Yeah, and with regard to warranties, I'm still reeling from that warranty issue some weeks or months ago. We need to determine what kind of warranty the manufacturer places on this, so that we got a strong warranty, because.
Yeah, we have essentially 2 bus manufacturers in the nation. And so federal funding has very strict criteria around warranty. So in other words, if we have a bus that breaks down, the feds will make us go through the entire warranty process before the agency or the feds spend any money on that. So anytime you tie your bus purchases to the federal contracts, your warranties are even better.
Okay, thank you. I just want to address that. Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm just gonna observe that the decision we're making here to purchase these buses is going to align this agency with Washington State's demand, the transit agencies reduce their carbon footprint. And so this is a very consequential vote, an action that the agency is gonna take. And I appreciate the staff work that went behind this, the in the trenches work. I appreciate Executive Director Adams, your ability to negotiate and change this from the wrong direction that we were headed in for this, that was not easy. And frankly was scary. And I'm just glad that we are at this point to cast this vote.
I echo that. It's very, very strong.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh,
Melanie has a
Matt?
question.
I don't have a question. I want to make a motion. If you're ready for it.
We're all ears.
Okay, I move to authorize the purchase of 12 35-foot hybrid diesel electric buses originally awarded through the federal 5339B FY 24 Bus and Bus Facilities Grant Program for 12 35-foot hydrogen buses for NTE $14,959,971.
I will
Second.
second that. We got multiple seconds. I think we're
Right,
all
thank you.
excited to move this forward.
Yeah.
I don't have to be the second. Thank you, Melanie.
I will recognize both, but I will speak to the first one. We have any other discussion?
Get it done.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize the purchase of 12 35-foot hybrid diesel electric buses. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
I'm
opposed?
no,
Oh.
I'm an I.
You're an aye? Okay.
I am an I.
I'm an aye also. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
I do want to
Congratulations.
note, because I always think it's important to thank our advocates. And
Absolutely.
I know that our executive director made a quick phone call to Congressman Larson's office to ask for assistance in navigating this. If I get any of this wrong, Melinda, you know I'm always open to
No,
correction.
you're right on.
I want to thank you for that quick thinking in how we have to step up and use our elected officials as allies in our work. And I want to thank his office for doing that work. And I want that on the record.
Thank you. And I want to assure all board members, he has received more written thank you notes from me than my staff have. And they've gotten a lot. Now, I literally, we did handwritten thank you notes to his office. He really did a good job in rallying to get us both meeting.
Could we draft a thank you note from the board?
Sure.
And send it? I think that would be appropriate.
So Will and Michael,
See
if we
Meg's
could be able
making a
to
note
now
of that.
look at March of 2027 or sooner.
2027.
March is 18 months from this moment.
Oh,
I
so
really
I,
pulled a lot of strings with pricing. I don't know how I can do on the line with the manufacturer.
I will
Okay,
likely
this is-
be, I will likely be retired in that date, but I will come by for a bus ride.
Okay.
Excellent. Business item number 3, update on community advisory committee by our executive project manager, the Meg Hefner. Yay.
So first, I have to say, I have not stood in front of anybody like this since high school. I think I'm public speaking, and I feel like I'm gonna pass out, even though I talked almost all of it every day. So bear with. So the board has asked us to look into starting the community advisory committee again. And so we are, and with Celine's help, been doing a lot of research. And we have come up with a presentation and an update to give you where we're at now. So we'll be coming back in December with some more information. So I pulled this from the DOT guidebook of how to put together transportation advisory committees. And I thought this was important because they are a tool. And they're a way to reach out and actually touch the people that we serve in our communities and, you know, our riders and our non-riders for that matter. They serve an advisory capacity. They help us make policy, they give us feedback, tools to create it. We're going to use them as a tool for the long range plan. Reach out to folks that we might not hear from otherwise. I just slow down. I don't know if
You're doing great. You're doing great.
So we're looking into the proposed structure of how we want to go about this. We've looked at the APTA guidebook. We've looked at other agencies, see what they're doing. We're still doing it. We may visit and see how others are managing the situation. We've done it before. Island Transit has before in the last time, I think it's 2009. So I was here for that. And we pulled away from it because it became very narrowly focused and a lot of time and energy, and we weren't getting a lot of really worthwhile feedback. It became sort of, you know, I want this in front of my house rather than looking at the whole community. What can we do to make it better? So we'd like to make it a little more sophisticated this time. Reach out to organizations maybe that we haven't before. We're looking at how many folks would make a good group. Thinking 5 to 7, that seems to be about standard for the transit agencies. We want to make sure that we touch all the different places on the island, different regions, different users, like I said, riders, non-riders, organizations, beyond maybe than we have in the past. We're going to put together an application. Celine's drafted one up. We'll refine that some and get the word out and request folks to join the group that way, in addition to maybe reaching out to organizations and say, if you have anyone who's interested, please have them apply. We're going to work on guidelines so that, sort of like we've been talking recently about the roles and the responsibilities for board and staff, we want to help set those for the members of the CS as well. And other things that may be important, how often to have a meeting, are there requirements for attendance? I think, you know, some of that will be fleshed out too as we move forward. So I'll have oversight of the group, making sure that, you know, we have agendas and minutes. A lot of ways, I'll be doing the same thing like I do for the board. gathering things together, putting together, say, the agenda, the minutes, reports, presentations to the board, if you want me to do that, if you want maybe the person from the CIC, I mean, some of that can be what the board decides they want to do. So the next steps are in December, we'll bring a draft application to the board, so you can see what we've pulled together, if you have any comments. We'll start the outreach to the individuals. I wouldn't say start, we're gonna start those once we get the application in place. But we'd like to have the outreach in process moving forward in January. These are just some ideas of where we'll reach out to. We want it to be inclusive. Like I said, hitting groups maybe that haven't been involved before. Things have changed a lot here on the island since 2009, right? We have more services that we used to have. We have less than we also used to have. We don't have I don't believe we have the VA on the island anymore. So if you know of someone who might be a good fit, we'd like you to send them to me and get the application to them once we got it. Anyone have any questions? Thoughts? Yes.
Can you go back to the first line? Okay, second, third slide, I guess. Third slide, next one. Next one.
No.
Right. So what comes up for me is, you know, who we're selecting for this. And so I have a couple thoughts about that. First of all, I'm really glad to see the location there. And in particular, I think about the geography of Island County, and we are basically two islands. So we need to ensure that there are representatives from Camino. This board only has one representative from Camino, and we need several, I would think, from there. I don't see age here, and I think that it would be very easy to not think about youth. And I think it would be very hopeful to have high school, you know, member, age member, someone much younger.
Many groups do have a
Okay.
youth rep.
But
So that's
yeah, and also if we have more applicants than we have positions for, all things being equal between two applicants, I would want to choose the person that actually rides on Island Transit. So users of Island Transit, because I ride from Langley to Clinton and I see things and I learn things about Island Transit, not even interacting, just watching people getting on and off. So we need people that actually use this system as part of the structure. I understand there may be some people that don't. But honestly, all of us should.
We're really interested too in not only riders, but also that diversity of people. I was just thinking of Beverly on Camino Island, who runs the senior center there, who has the knowledge of what those groups are looking
Yes.
for, what they need. So it'll be important to
Yeah.
balance all that.
Janet had mentioned a contact I have in my notes. I think a meeting, is that Beverly?
I bet it is.
I think,
Oh, shoot.
I should wait to be called on, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner St. Clair.
I want to echo something Craig said. As I heard you say, we would invite people whether or not they're riders. I would argue that our consumers, so our riders are our most important. We have on this board representatives of our workforce with Danny, and because that's one of our most important resources and our most important stakeholders are probably our riders. I can understand from we all pay taxes to use this, why you'd want a broader base, but I strongly encourage us to have that focus on our riders and users of Island Transit Services. I'd encourage you to take a look at, I've been doing some reading, just side note, helping my daughter with a governance issue in a board she sits on. And our state and our nation is moving toward a concept of by, for, and all organizations. And it's really based on trust-based governance. How do we build trust with the folks that our mission serves to or strives to serve? And so making sure that we keep that lens, and I can share some of those definitions. Commerce has a definition at the state level, and Island County invests in by and for organizations as part of our work. Those are for this particular advisory group. I really want to make sure we're leaning in on, as Craig said, those stakeholders, those folks who our mission is to serve. And I do think we have veterans organizations, but I may have misheard you, Megan.
I was thinking more the VA. I know we have like the South with the veterans.
So we have a new we have a new CBOC. We have a new Veterans Hospital on Whidbey that just opened. It's very exciting. That is very exciting. We just had the groundbreaking last month, and so we do have Veterans Medical now on Whidbey at the base.
We didn't plan that. That was a fun.
Which may affect rider route planning in the future.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, values-based input. Thank you, Megan, for your work.
Meg, I had a couple of questions. So, what is optimum size of the group look like?
5 to 7. That's what we're finding.
And then, and maybe this is a question for Celine, but yeah, I get why we would have that group, be people who are riders and, understand Island Transit, but do we do anything in the community to understand why people don't use Island Transit?
All the time.
Okay, because I think that would be interesting feedback to kind of weave into that and how we kind of shift that perspective. I think that we've said trust a number of times during this conversation, and I think a lot of times, the gentleman who pioneered the customer service experience for the Ritz-Carlton always says, no matter what the consumer is buying or doing, you start from a place of mistrust. And that there has to be this evidence of caring to be able to get people into that position of trust. And if that evidence of caring takes place, they will suffer a defect in service and still trust you because the caring was there. So, I mean, I see this as kind of a really excellent first step at us trying to gain more traction with those people that either don't understand, don't know, or maybe had a bad experience. So I will get off my soapbox. My kumbaya moment is over. That's all I have.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? James P. Merrow?
On the city council of Oak Harbor, we have a number of commissions, and I've had some interesting experiences dealing with the membership of them. First of all, I would say probably 7 is reasonable because the level of availability of volunteers, even well-meaning and dedicated volunteers to be serving the commission, they still, may not show up. So having a broader membership, you still have to make a quorum, and understand that. And then, I'm not saying do it, but I'm not saying not do it, but we have ex officio members from the council on the commissions who are non-voting members. So that is a question that perhaps could be brought up, because somebody who's an ex officio member from this board on a commission, they would be providing insights and everything, but no decision making or voting capability. One of the other two of the items that I've observed with commissions on the city is that you can have individuals who have an axe to grind about some issue, and that's the reason they're coming there, or they have a particular interest, which is very narrow focused, and really doesn't, it might address a certain constituency or interest group with regard to the transit, but in this case, but it would not be broad enough. So the selection process matters, because there's any number of people, and the motivation is. Some people are bored at the house, they're lonely, or they want to get involved in something and be seen. And I'm just being blunt about this, and these are not the types of people that you want on a board, trying to search out the answers with respect to transit and related matters. So, so the selection process does matter. Just because you're searching for volunteers and some excited person comes in and says, I'll do it, that's not a good decision-making process for selecting a member of a commissions. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
I think
comments?
Susan
Oh,
has something.
Susan?
Yeah, I may have missed this. How many Island Transit staff will be part of the committee? We weren't counting on any, but that doesn't mean anything is, is all up for discussion. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on something that you said. A number of years ago, I was looking at the website of Island Transit, and there was a section that said, how do I ride Island Transit? And I honestly laughed because you just step on the bus and ride Island Transit. You need to know where you're going and what's scheduled. But I was absolutely shocked when I pointed out to a new commuter over to the other side who was coming from Oak Harbor and driving. I said, why don't you just ride Island Transit? They said, how do I ride Island Transit? I just couldn't believe it. So don't, so keep that website stuffed with that information. And I mean, I took them through a 10-minute conversation. Well, how do I pay? You don't pay, it's free. What do you mean? I mean, it really did flummox them that they honestly didn't, it's not that they didn't feel welcome, it was just something completely foreign to them, that they could actually access this service.
I think it's important to point out that we have a travel trainer, Tony, who actually will meet someone at the residence, wherever, to take them through the steps of riding the bus. For commuters like you and I, it's like second nature. Started, I was commuting over to Everett. I was really unsure with the ferry and all that sort of stuff. So travel trainers for people that are uncertain are a real key quality, I think, that we have, and other agencies use them as well. But it's great to know we have somebody on staff that will go and meet them where we're at.
Well, lately, all of us are unsure about the ferries.
Still are so lucky. I cannot begrudge the ferries. Well, it's scary when you're trying to figure out a system. Are you gonna end up, just left somewhere? You have no idea where you are. And some agencies, it's kind of scary to talk to an operator. I mean, ours aren't. We've had lots of comments about that, but somewhere else, it's like, well, they don't wanna.
I've had people ask me, do they need an Orca card, or how much does it cost? Do they take change? It's like, it doesn't cost anything. Well, that doesn't make sense. Like, it's just the way it is. Susan and then James.
So this is an opportunity for me to advocate and add a comment. Please consider your number one resource, your operators and dispatchers, potentially as a member of SWORD. We know a lot. And as I've said, we are your greatest asset.
And many different avenues in governmental service, there's an emphasis on diversity, but there's so much so that people will be saying, well, let's get so-and-so because they're such and such a diverse background. And you say, but are they competent? Do they have a specific interest and competency to add value to the board? And I've seen boards bring on people because they say, well, we need greater diversity, but it's like saying, well, we would all agree Ronald McDonald is pretty diverse. And we could submit it to the board, that would add a certain measure of diversity, but obviously I'm using it as an extreme example. So I would say the matter of competency, relevance, and these other factors that I've addressed in the selection process is very important, or else you're gonna end up with a board with a bunch of people that are not being very productive. That's what I have.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. You did a great job.
Excellent job.
Now, that means you'll be presenting regularly then.
I will.
Okay.
Yes, she will.
Okay.
Oh, she will.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. All right, business item number 4, change the date of our regularly scheduled business meeting from January 2nd to January 9th, 2026. The start time and the location will remain the same, unless everybody wants to come and have a meeting on the 2nd of January, which I don't think I'll do. Yeah. Can I get?
I move to change the date of the regularly scheduled business meeting from January 2nd, 2026, January 9th, 2026. Start time and location will remain the same.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to change our January 2nd meeting to January 9th, 2026. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes. And at this point, we are going to move to monthly reports. And we will hand the mic over to our executive director, Melinda Adams.
Okay, and I will make this fairly short because we still have financial reports. So I'm gonna go over the highlights. As you are all aware, or I do believe you're aware, we have had a federal government shutdown. According to our American Public Transportation Association, APTA, and our WISTA partners, they have kept us closely informed. The Federal Transit Administration operations will continue with none of its 517 employees being furloughed. According to DOT, during the government shutdown, FTA operations will continue because the personnel are financed by the Highway Trust Fund. This report shows that FTA has sufficient liquidating cash to support several months of reimbursements for previously approved projects. Just to let you all know, to date, all of Island Transit's federally funded projects have been obligated and will not be affected. This includes the recent $14.9 million award for the hybrid diesel electric buses. Janet, did you have a question?
I did, because in the news this morning, and it goes to your point, I hope we're in assurance on this. The current administration froze 2.1 billion in federal funds to Chicago's transit agency that was due to be delivered. So I have no idea what this means, but
I wonder if they weren't obligated. If it's not obligated, they're saying that they're not going to push forward any new grant awards.
I can only say what the news says, and it's got biased language I'd rather not repeat here.
I see. Thank you for that input. I will watch that carefully and keep you all apprised.
It basically was raising concerns about what they're calling targeted funding freezes of transportation and transit projects.
Right. Okay, WISTIP, Island Transit is currently under our annual audit with our risk pool providers. Information is due to them by the end of October. Our longtime staff, Stacy Jordan, who is our risk pool person, is heading that up along with operations and other participating partners. We had a visit. Sherwood Community Services and Island Transit is a partnership that we enjoy. Chris Londo, who is our custodian and also our employee of the half, provided a tour on September 23rd. We had employees from Sherwood and Chris and our facility supervisor and Representative Clyde Shavers. So it was a great discussion about partnerships and employing local talent, and got me yet another meeting with Representative Shavers before you guys go back into session in Olympia. So I'll be meeting with him prior to December. And, you know, he wants to make sure that we're getting what we need over here. So we're making lots of good contacts there. Island County Emergency Management, we had not been a partner for some time, and I met with their deputy director, and Island Transit has appointed 3 of our employees to the Island County Emergency Management team to participate in the development of Island County's hazard mitigation planning. So that is underway. We had I'm gonna refer to it as an MOU that the board signed a couple of years ago, allowing that participation. So I just wanted to make sure that we were actively involved and that, you know, should something happen, Island Transit is a main player in moving people, so we want to make sure we're prepared and our facilities are prepared. So thank you to staff who have stepped up to be part of that team. The State Auditor's Office, SAO, has wrapped up its 2024 audit of Island Transit and will be presenting to the board in November. And there were a number of findings. I want to reassure the board that these findings were in relationship to the Clark Newber assessment that they were provided from Island Transit. We will have those notes made in their final management letter. Rest assured that we have been implementing all of the corrective actions and we are in concurrence with the SAO audit. So that will be a real help in knowing that we already have those processes in place, whether it was the restructuring of our finance department or the parts project that's going on. We've already implemented systems of dual control and corrective action, so that's always a good thing. Clark Newber, who provided our initial external assessment, is in month 2 of a 3-month process of developing policy procedures and desk manuals with staff. The new policies will be reviewed by legal and brought to the board for approval. Island Transit will be set up for success moving forward now that we have reviewed significant areas of the organization. And I will say, Paul and the finance staff and the rest of the staff here, they've been through 3 audits just since January. So we had a number of them, and it really does set us up. I like to look at these as being able to set us up for success in the future. We now have a baseline. We'll have new policies moving forward, and it just sets us up for success. Yes.
I wanted to praise you as a matter of record with respect to your handling of the audits, because it is to me, they're kind of a nightmarish experience, but you're taking it all in stride and managing it. And also, especially with regard to the corrective actions and concurrence. So I just wanted to praise you as a matter of public record, because that is so wonderful.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I guess I'll also echo that. I don't think I've ever felt more comfortable with the financial organization, knowing the challenges that it was facing not even 18 months ago.
Well, thank you.
And I just, want to echo your comments. Thank the finance staff for all.
No, yes, and the maintenance staff and everybody stepped up, and that can be really scary for employees when I come in and say, hey, guess what? I'm initiating 2 external audits, one in technology, one in
Right.
finance. But as a new director coming in, you want to make sure that not only you're set up for success, but all of us, our board has a fiduciary responsibility. You answer to your constituents. I answer to all of you. And of course, the employees need to feel that they're in a secure, safe place. So my hats off to staff for taking it in stride and really stepping up and doing a lot of extra work. So thank you all. Projects, just real quick, Terry's Corner is out for bid. We had 4 companies attend. We have we had a pre-bid meeting on September 29th. The information to bid closes on October 21st. So we're making progress on that. Our transformer upgrade, Dell will be awarded the bid, and thus far the project is under budget by $207,000. Thank you, Pete. Watching out for us. Pardon me? Thank you for that public record. Okay. Long range plan. We are in the process, as I mentioned earlier, we're scoring the proposals and we received 4 of them. We should be awarding within the next month. So that's really exciting. So my notes say 6 proposals. Somehow that got changed. Okay. Automatic passenger counters, that is out on the street. We will have submissions back by October 17th. And hopefully we'll have a, better number for the budget on what we may be looking at in cost there. And lastly, we talked about the South Whidbey Transit Center, that we have an alternative analysis that we're gonna initiate for NEPA, the Park and Ride. And that will run concurrently with the long range plan, which is in process to demonstrate whether or not we really need something down there, and that will help us in our decision making, and that's all we have.
I have a question. You didn't include an update on the Whitney Bank Land Trust work.
Okay, well, currently we have reached out to them for extinguishment of the property as we voted here as a board, to push that through at the cost of $350,000. They have requested to adjust the MOU of implementation to December of 2026. Our chair and myself will be reviewing that letter and then bringing that information to the board.
Why?
It's a good question. They first proposed to me that they could have the next steps implemented. This is a long process. That the next step would be June of 26, and then they asked for December. Did you take a look at that at all, Matt?
I have it, yeah, it's on my to-do list, but I don't see an issue with it, but yeah, except for timing.
I'd love to know why.
It's a them
I
issue.
knew
not
that, I knew
issue.
that would be a concern too.
Yeah, I just,
It's one of the things we're taking a closer look at the letter, and it's actually on my table.
Any other questions? Okay. We'll get an update from our human resource manager.
Stay less than a minute. I know we're on the clock. All right, employee hires and separations, for the month of September. We have, currently, we have a combined total number of operators of 71. We have 55.
let's take a moment. 71.
71, we have 55 on Whidbey, 16 on Camino. Last month, we have 4 people in, training. 2 in, route training, no longer called ride share. And, next cycle begins October 6th. And if you look at our monthly status report, we've gained 2 operators, we lost 2, gained 2. And with the additional class starting next week, if all of these individuals make it through, we should be in good shape, in the near future.
How many are in the class?
I believe we're trying to get 5, four. And if you look at our yearly numbers, all the way through September, hold and steady. So we're not operating at a deficit or bouncing around or losing people left and right. So that's pretty good. Reasons for exits for the 2 individuals. We lost 1 for medical reasons. It was just too taxing on his body. And 1 termination for just having difficulty showing up. And that was it. Are there any questions? 55 seconds.
Oh, hold on. Are you gonna, the ridership report? Are you doing that or not?
No.
Oh, who? I'm sorry.
That time doesn't count. It's not.
That's a legal question.
Yeah. So, question about the ridership report. It shows here that year-over-year comparison with Whidbey paratransit, that the ridership went down 14%. Really? 14% decline?
I don't have it in front of me, Fred, I'm sorry. But,
It shows.
so which page are you on?
I'm on this page right here.
Okay,
The second table down.
okay,
So, Camino was down and Whitney was down.
The paratransit ridership itself.
Yeah. So that's one question. I know it doesn't sound like there's an answer there, but
Right.
it would be great to get one.
Sure.
And then secondly, on the next page, the Whitney system boardings. If you look at the comparison, by the way, fantastic to have data.
Okay.
This is the kind of data that we have not had in.
We're gonna keep refining
Yeah,
it too.
I'm sorry, I don't have it right on me, but I know that the numbers are higher, so I need to go back. If you'll allow me.
Well, maybe this will answer the second question, which is the Whitney system boardings. For August
I don't think I
24 to
would-
August
for
25,
this week.
it shows a decline.
Oh,
When
wait, I
every other
was
month of the
taking
year,
pictures.
this year,
Oh,
we've seen an
wow.
increase. So you might, I think there must be an error there.
I like taking
You
pictures
know,
of
traditionally, I know at
to
Everett
the
Transit, our
weather.
boardings were always lower in the summer,
But
but
we,
I don't know if that's.
And that is 2 months ago, we do our data backwards, right?
Yes,
I believe that's.
this would be,
August.
yeah, this would be August.
And I know that for September, I just got done talking to, well, at least the para person that we have on staff, and she was just saying that our numbers are way higher than we've ever been for ridership or people asking to ride our para services. So it may be the summertime thing, I'll go back and reaffirm those numbers,
Okay.
but I know we're headed back up.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
well,
can-
I noticed the Camino boardings on the next page are up dramatically. The
You know,
system boardings,
I
so-
could go out on a limb as a fellow ferry rider. I wonder how many folks are actually going over in August because the ferry lines are so long, maybe there's not as many people riding buses.
Well,
That's a good
yeah,
possibility.
let's schedule another number
Yeah.
one bus up the island at 4 o'clock. That was,
I was the last one.
by the way, when is the next service update?
We will have one in January for our proposed, March service change.
Okay.
Oh, are you here? Our financial controllers for it, because he didn't have enough time at the podium before.
All right, so I'll just quickly go over a finance report and I reported for August of 2025. Start with cap sources, that's great. For August 25, sales tax revenue was up about 174,000, a little over 11% from the previous year. You can see there was no contract revenue brought in, we're still waiting on those contracts from this and no capital grant fund. Next slide, please. Look at sales tax graphically, you can see that our actuals exceeded what we had budgeted for this month. And you're also seeing a really good trend here at the green line of positive numbers. In excess of 8% for the last 2 months, that's really great. For the year, we're ahead by 1.32%, which we haven't seen for probably a little while, and which is really good news too. So we've exceeded our budget and back for annually speaking. All right, next slide. There was no grant contract revenue and nothing really significant to report. Next slide. Investment interest and interest rates. You can see our investment interest was approximately $185,000, it was up 3%, for about almost 5,500. And we have 70 million invested in the ICTIP, which was up 5 basis points or about 1.6%. And if you kind of take a look at the chart, you'll see LTIP, which a lot of governments are relying on, was pretty steady there. Interest rates are generally dropping right now. Our ICTIP fund actually increased 5 basis points. So taking that long run approach does have to pay us. Next slide, please. We're looking at payroll. Our payroll expense on an accrual basis up about 21,000. We saw that wages and bonuses increased 60,000, primarily due to a longer month, and but it was reduced by not where we have reduced holiday pay and separation buyouts, which had a negative 40 effect, and those two brought together increased our accrued payroll by about 21. Non-payroll expenses, 1.4 million, up significantly from last month, 1.2 million. And almost $1 million from last year. Of course, we had some big payments for buses there, almost $1 million.
Well,
Yes,
on this sheet here, the total, the subtotal uses adds up, but the line item that totals are different.
yeah, I'll have to apologize after I sent out that schedule, which is, I think that's, about the 12th maybe.
Okay.
I updated the reserve line to reflect those 4 buses. What had happened was, after I created those reports, I cut off, I believe it was earlier than that, it was like September 12th. And, there was the posting for the bus that's happened on the 30th of July on an accrual basis, date in August. So they're reflected in the cash statements.
Okay.
Well, not on that one because that was created way in advance.
Okay.
But I have adjusted the slides to reflect the bus payouts because they would show up on the cash statements in August and on the July accrual statements.
Yeah, I just noticed it because I've never seen the operations cost be more than payroll. So. And
All right. Good point. So you can see it's reflected here. I put it on the slide, that 928, 193, should be on that report that was sent out. I don't think it was, but
okay.
That was a late catch and I just wanted to make sure that I represented that properly. So we did have a payout in August, almost $1 million. Next slide, please. August capital payments, there you can see the 4 small buses and the payment there are included in that total. And there's some other small capital items, computer leases and tablets. Next slide, please. Cash reserves, you can see a decrease, and now we're sitting at about a little over $73 million. August cash decreased 685,000, primarily because we weren't receiving grant funds and we had a big outlay for these buses. And next slide, you can see graphically a little dip in our graph there. But of course, we're doing fine. We'll probably see a large rise once we process those contracts and seek reimbursement for our operating grants. Probably going to happen in November, December. Next slide, please. From a budget actual standpoint, we're reporting an audit for 2/3 through the year. Our target is 66 2/3. You can see our sales tax has exceeded that, but and our interest as well, but everything else is still below that target. From a revenue side, next slide, please. Same target. You can see most of our expenditures are below the target. You know, we exceeded with our prepaids and like insurance. And subscription and fees is close, but we're well below target. In most of the other categories, and you can see for the year, if you look at that second column, year to date actual about 4.5 million ahead of our budget target. So it's a result. Even though our expenditure, our revenues are lower than target, our expenditures are even lower. So we're still in surplus category. And that's it for my presentation. Questions?
Questions from, are there any questions?
Yeah,
Right.
Paul, could you put that back up, that last one? I kind of got sidetracked by that salary one, and I was trying to figure that out when you moved away from it.
Okay. Wages, taxes, and benefits, you mean?
Right. Okay,
On the
year-to-date
first
actual
line.
budget. Okay, and so, Okay, and so we spent 60% of our budget as of what, the end of, this is the end of
August.
August? Okay. Okay,
So we're close to budget, but have not exceeded it, which is really. Where we want to spend the money on what we had budgeted, but we are not exceeding what our goals and targets that were set.
okay. Thank you very much for,
I would note too
Indulging
that you have it in blue. The negative numbers. And at the bottom. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, a lot of times a negative sounds negative, right?
Right,
But in this case, it's a good thing.
right, understood.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
All right, other business.
Yes, I do
Sorry.
have, I'd like to add a closed session for 5 minutes. I spoke with the council, just to get an update on negotiations. Can you do that?
Matt,
It's like, it's up to you.
I am leaving in 3 minutes, just so you know.
And,
well, we won't be
negotiations
taking
are
action.
Yeah.
It's just an
So
update.
negotiations start in 4
But
minutes.
They put it to 12:30.
Commissioner Bacon, are you able to stay?
Yes, I am.
I don't know what protocol is for that. Do
You just, you can just call it that, yeah.
Okay.
You say full session, we all go all right.
I'm a rule follower.
Since when?
Okay.
Okay, we all got it.
All right, well, we don't have anything on the agenda, so at this time, we are going to a closed session.
20 minutes.
Okay. That's what you're from.
Okay. I have, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, we are returning from a closed session. No action is being taken and we are adjourned.
Okay.
Everyone have a wonderful